Not payday though. I need to get paid.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Friday that the Lord has made. We're going to rejoice and be glad in it. If you're coming on live, I want you to hit that like button, hit that share button. Please do your boy a favor, tag Lolly Dolly everybody, and let them know Prophet Ramonepreston, the squad, and the Ramonepreston show is live right here in the beautiful Buckhead community of Atlanta. But those of you that are coming on, please hit the like button, hit the share button. Shout out to all of my Facebook family members and friends, all of my YouTube family members and friends. And if you were Elon Musk on Mars watching or in some virtual world watching the show, shout out to you as well. If you can, I want you to figure out how you can hit that like button, hit that share button, tag somebody, and invite them to join the show today. This has been an extraordinary week for a lot of different reasons. So I want you to be a part of this discussion. I want you to prepare to give me some of your feedback and to ask any questions that you might be having. Again, welcome to the Ramonepreston Show. Just in case you don't know, I am your host, Prophet Ramonepreston, and we on this show come to you like we have for almost 3 months. Can you believe it? It's been almost 3 months. We come to you every Monday through Friday at 12 o'clock noon, bringing you the most important information with regard to financial literacy. That's a big deal. Entrepreneurship, a big deal. Business ownership / ministry leadership, a big deal. Investing, and even family legacy wealth building. All of those topics that we discuss on the show. Pretty much 99.9% of the stuff that I talk about on the show, not only do I teach through our consulting group, through our coaching program, but I also teach through our Blueprint Game Plan, which is our virtual training program. And I live it myself. I ain't teaching nothing that I ain't gonna live. So we're excited to continue this discussion that we've been having pretty much all week. This has been a different week because I pivoted into some discussions centered around the real estate investing industry. So if you have a desire to be in real estate investing, if you believe that at some juncture or at some point of your entrepreneurial endeavors, you want to get into real estate investing, I want to show you the simple, strategic way to get into real estate investing, a way that has worked for my wife and I. It has worked for all of the clients that we have worked with, small and large clients. And so without capping, without even having to fabricate any information, I can honestly say my wife and I, we've been a part of just about every real estate deal that you can think of, whether it's a single family residence, whether it's a multifamily residence, whether it's a commercial deal, whether it's some type of acquisition or some type of repurposing of a property. We've been a part of enough to know all the details, all the ins and outs, and we have consulted enough individuals, whether it's an individual who wants to purchase just a single family home to use it as a rental property, or whether it's an individual that has a portfolio of properties, or whether it's some type of investment group or conglomerate that has come together for the purpose of purchasing several properties. We've seen everything in between. And so this week, we took some time to, first of all, lay a foundation to help you understand that there's a relationship between you as an entrepreneur, you as a business owner, and real estate investing. As I've mentioned several times this week, I have had the privilege, because it is a privilege, I've had the opportunity, the honor to start my entrepreneurship in real estate. My wife and I, we have been in real estate since we've been married for over 18 years now, since we got together. We were both pursuing a career, you can say, in real estate. She was pursuing her real estate license in one state. I was pursuing my real estate license in another state. And so once we got married, I knew that I wasn't going the license direction. I wanted to get into the investments. I wanted to understand the metrics, the math, the deals. I wanted to understand the business behind real estate. And my wife was dedicated. She was committed. She was like all in when it comes to the sales and the purchasing and the management side, the paperwork side of real estate. And so it just worked. It just worked perfectly for both of us when we started our entrepreneurial endeavors. But something had to work, because for the last 18 years we've been full-time entrepreneurs, which means we've never gone bankrupt. You got a question already? Mm-hmm. Okay, question from YouTube. Okay.
Say, do you prefer commercial or residential?
If I had to give in real estate, if the question is, do you prefer commercial or residential? I prefer commercial. Mm-hmm. Me personally, I don't even deal with residential real estate investing anymore. Nothing that my wife and I have our hands on or in when it comes to real estate, other than family members and friends who are looking to purchase or to sell real estate. We help assist family members and friends as far as the sales and the purchasing of residential. But if I had to give you a top preference for real estate investing, all day commercial. And the reason why is because the analytics, the numbers, the math behind commercial is so different, but the scalability of it. There's a term in real estate investing called economies of scale. Let me give you an example, even though this is not even a part of the discussion today, but let me just give you an example since I did have a question. When you think of this concept of economies of scale, to differentiate residential real estate investing from commercial real estate investing, the easiest way for me to explain it and to differentiate it is, if you buy a single family home and you rent that single family home out for, let's say, $1,500, then all you have is one door. All you can make is $1,500 a month and just keep going up on the rent. So you have 100% of your investment in one door. But if you have a 10-unit property and each of those units can rent out for $1,500, now you have multiplied $1,500 times 10. So instead of you making $1,500 a month in your gross rents for one property, you're actually grossing $15,000 a month. So you see the economies of scale are just like night and day when it comes to residential and commercial. So if I had to give you a top preference, of course it's going to be commercial real estate investing. But the reason why a lot of people never get into commercial real estate investing, never get into it, because number one, they don't know anything about it. They don't learn the numbers and the metrics and the math and the analytics behind it, because commercial real estate is really about those analytics. It's about you knowing them numbers and understanding it on a whole nother level. And the same metrics and math that you use in residential real estate investing is not necessarily the same math, metrics, and numbers you use in commercial real estate investing. Some of them are similar, but there are some nuances that you have to be mindful for or of. So that would be the answer to the question that was just asked. Shout out to all of our YouTube family members and friends. If you have any questions, by the way, you can either drop the questions in the comments, or you can dial 678-922-1963. Hit extension 1. If you have a question about financial literacy, entrepreneurship, owning a business, or what we've been talking about for the most part this week in real estate investing, feel free to dial in 678-922-1963, extension 1. If you dial 678-922-1963, extension 1, guess what's going to happen? That is going to come directly to my cell phone, and I'm going to answer your question on this live show today. But now that we're already in the game of answering questions and giving you some information about real estate investing. We have another question.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Do you recommend putting yourself and your spouse as owners of a holding company, or are there tax advantages of having just a single member holding company LLC?
The question is, do you recommend putting yourself
And your spouse.
as the owner of a holding company, or putting you and your spouse as owners of a holding company, which is a LLC? Well, for me, because of the way my wife and I live, because of our relationship, because of our life, we're both 50-50 owners of our holding company. That is the ideal way. Now, there are a lot of advantages of having two people, a couple, as 50-50 owners of a holding company, or in other words, you and your spouse owning a LLC. And those advantages can vary. One of the biggest advantages is, well, your holding company is going to ultimately push the tax liability through itself into you, meaning that if your holding company grosses $100,000 in a year, and after the expenses, your holding company nets $30,000. If you are a single member or a single owner of that LLC, then your tax liability is going to be based on that net profit, which is $30,000. If you have a partnership, which means you and your spouse owns that holding company, that $30,000 is going to be pushed up through your holding company, and it's going to be split. So your spouse is going to be responsible for $15,000. You're going to be responsible for $15,000. But then, if one of you have other professional businesses, or you are a professional like a real estate agent or some type of other agent or broker, then there are certain personal write-offs that you're going to be able to bring in that could actually lower that overall tax liability. So, I mean, because I'm in ministry, because I'm in oneness with my wife like we have been for the past 18, 19 years since we've met and been married, I'm going to automatically recommend, if you and your spouse are one, if you and your spouse are in agreement, if you and your spouse are in the will of God, then you form a holding company and the both of you own the holding company 50-50. Even if there's some other things that you decide that you want to do outside of what you and your spouse is doing, or if there's some things that they want to do, then guess what? Your holding company, let's say if your wife wants to start a boutique, okay, and you don't want to have nothing to do with the boutique, well, your holding company that both of you own 50-50 can start a company under the umbrella of the holding company. And so the holding company will own 100% of the boutique. So now your wife can do the boutique. Let's say if you want to start some type of sports agency or some type of landscaping company, or you want to start selling shoes and hats, you can start a company under theirs, which means the liability of your holding company is still covered and limited, because the different companies or entities that you start, whether it's individually or collectively, they're not necessarily in the holding company, they're just owned by the holding company. So the question on whether or not it is an advantage for both spouses to own the company, I would say yes, you should do it that way, especially if you're in the will of God. Especially if you in the will of God, you saved, you're in oneness and in agreement. Of course, the both of you should own the holding company, because what happens if something goes wrong, or what happens if you get sick and your spouse doesn't even have any ownership interest in the company? They can't even, now they got to go through this whole legal process because you trying to be solo dolo. So you got to be very careful with starting businesses and you have spouses. Now, if they don't want to have nothing to do with it, and they just feel like, listen, you just do your own thing, then guess what? You start it, you be the single member, but you just draft in your operating agreement or in your personal will what responsibilities that your spouse can assume in the event something happens to you. And that would be a legal issue that you would have a lawyer or some type of estate planner help you create that language for. We got another question?
Yes.
Come on through here, YouTube.
Somebody said, why are LLCs better for the business structure, or what's the advantages?
One of the reasons, the question is, why are LLCs better for the business structure? Well, one of the reasons why LLCs are typically considered to be better for certain business structures, or the average business that is structured, is because LLCs are basically limited liability companies. So number one, they limit the liability of the owner of that company or of whatever the operation is that's taking place within that limited liability company. But also they are typically considered to be pass-through entities. So from a legal standpoint, and I'm not a legal expert, I'm just going off of what I have talked to lawyers and other CPAs and tax strategists and experts about. So just to kind of give you a civilian's perspective or a client's perspective, because I'm a client of these types of professionals, from a client's perspective, a LLC is a pass-through entity. So basically, depending on what my income and expenses are, what my overall profits are, whatever my tax liabilities are, my tax expert can decide or can elect, whatever the terminology is that they use. When they do my taxes every year, they can decide how to treat that LLC, meaning that it can be treated as a S Corp, a C Corp, or a partnership, depending on how they classify it when they do the taxes on it.
He was like, oh man, I should have been more specific, but I meant the holding company. So what's that? So why are LLCs better for the business structure? But I think he was talking
Why
about
the holding company. The holding company is better. Okay, the question, so I answered two questions. So the LLC, I answered that question because it is a limited liability company, number one. But number two, a LLC, as we said, it's a pass-through entity. So the tax preparer or your CPA, they're able to treat it how they need to treat it based on what the liability is. Now the actual question was, why is the holding company structure the best?
Yeah. Well, what's the advantage?
Or what is the advantage of having a holding company structure? I'll give you a basic explanation of why having a holding company structure is a better advantage. Let's say, for example, let's say you want to start a landscaping company. Let's say you want to start a consulting company. So if you just started a landscaping business, then your business is just limited to landscaping, even though there are other things that you can do through your landscaping business. But then if you want to start a consulting business, are you going to start a consulting business in your landscaping business? Most likely you'll probably start a separate business because they're just two separate entities. If you start a real estate investment company because you want to get into real estate, are you going to do it with your landscaping business? Are you going to do your real estate investing in your consulting business? Or are you going to start business number 3 for real estate? Well, if you did that, if you start all of these separate businesses because you got these business ideas and they're really not connected as far as the industries are concerned, you're going to be the owner of business A, business B, and business C, and on and on and on. If you structure a holding company, now you're the owner of the holding company. So when you decide to start the landscaping company, you don't have to own the landscaping company. Your holding company is going to own the landscaping company. So now what was a holding company structure is now being able to branch out to create subsidiaries. And so when you get ready to start your consulting business, you personally don't have to own it. Your holding company can own it. When you get ready to start your real estate business, you don't have to own it. Your holding company can own it. So if you start 3 different businesses, you can either own those 3 businesses, which are actually legally separate entities from one another, or you can have a holding company set up where your holding company owns these 3 entities. That's one of the fundamental advantages. But then let's say if your landscaping business start making a lot of money, there are certain non-taxable events that can take place within your holding company where your holding company can actually pull some of the pre-tax revenue from the landscaping business and may be able to participate in a non-taxable event in purchasing a piece of real estate. But you're not able to move that money from one business to the next or even mingle with those funds if they're all separate. But if the holding company owns them, the holding company controls all the operations and all the income and the expenses and even the disbursements and reallocations of those funds and resources. So that's one of the easiest answers I can give you. Woo, y'all asking some good questions today. So that was my answer for that. Today I'm going to be talking about my personal 5-point process for real estate investing. How many of y'all really have a desire to even be in real estate investing? How many of you have even thought about being in real estate investing? If you have thought about getting into real estate investing, if you have had dreams about being a real estate investor or owning a piece of property that you can rent and be a landlord of, I want you to put in the comments hashtag REI. Put that in the comments, hashtag REI. If you have a desire to be in real estate investing, put in the comments hashtag REI. I'm telling you, my wife and I, we've been in the real estate industry for over 18 years. We have seen so many people fail and flop in real estate investing because of what they either know that is wrong or what they don't know, which would be right. So if you say what now?
I said we got a couple over here on YouTube.
Okay, so if you have a desire to be in the real estate investing, I want you to put in the comments hashtag REI. I want you to hashtag REI. And I'm saying this not just to sell you something, even though I'm gonna sell you something, but I'm saying this to really get your mind centered around you starting the process. If you want to be a real estate investor, don't limit yourself to thinking that in order for you to be a real estate investor, you have to have this sophisticated education. You just need to know the right things. And once you get the knowledge of the right things, that means once you learn what you need to learn and you learn how to apply what you learn, and then you apply what you've learned, you will actually see results. And a lot of the information that I teach just on real estate investing alone, a lot of the information that I teach, if you listen to it, let's say if you went through all 3 of my real estate investing training courses that we have in our Blueprint program, I guarantee you within the first day, you will be able to properly analyze a property, and you will probably be able to, even if it's just simulate a deal, put a deal together that you can actually see yourself making money in. We got another question, y'all, on YouTube. 2 more questions. What's question number 1?
The first one is, can the holding company be an LLC?
Yes, most holding companies are LLCs.
Yeah.
Most holding companies are LLCs. So the question was, can a holding company be a LLC? Because again, either your business is going to be a LLC, either it's going to be a partnership, either it's going to be an S corporation or a C corporation. All right. And if your business is a LLC, your tax professional can actually file taxes for your LLC, which is kind of like a pass-through entity. It's kind of like it's not an S corp, it's not a C corporation. It's a limited liability company, but it's kind of like a pass-through, which means when your CPA does taxes for you as the owner of that LLC, which could be a holding company, they're going to choose for tax purposes, they're going to choose how your company is going to be treated when it comes to filing taxes. So they're going to make that decision for you. There are times that people form holding companies as LLCs, and when they hit a certain dollar amount, their tax professional will tell them, we need to either form a new S corporation, or we need to treat this LLC not as a partnership or single member LLC or disregarded entity, whatever they call it. We want to treat it like a S corp or whatever. So your tax person is going to be the person to really make that clear for you. Another question.
So my question is about taxes for the holding company. Will I file taxes for the holding company and the operating company individually, or will it be incorporated into one?
The question is, if you have a holding company and your holding company owns, let's say, 3 or 4 operating companies. So LLC number 1, which is your holding company, you own it, owns LLC number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, but all of the other LLCs are owned by the first LLC. The question is, will you file taxes for all 5 of these entities, or will all the ones that are under the holding company be pushed through? In most cases, at least from what I've seen and what I know and what professionals and experts have told me, all of those entities that are owned by your holding company are going to be included in your general ledger. It's going to be included in your overall profit and loss statement when you file your taxes, even when you're doing your accounting, meaning that all those separate LLCs will have separate bank accounts. They will have separate EINs. They will have separate operations. But in most cases, even on your accounting, let's say if you have QuickBooks, your QuickBooks for your holding company is going to show all those itemized classes or categories for these other businesses and what the income and expenses are for each of those. And so in most cases, when you go to your tax person and your tax person gets ready to do your taxes for you and for your wife or your spouse or just yourself or your partners for your holding company has 5 other companies that it owns. When they do your overall taxes, it's going to be based on the overall income and expenses, profits and losses for that calendar year for that enterprise or for that entire conglomerate. Quote me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty much clear on what I'm saying. I can call my tax strategist and find out if I am. Any other question?
You're good for now.
Okay. So all of you that put REI, hashtag REI in the comments. For all of you that have put real estate investing in the comments, you put hashtag REI. That means you might have a desire to be in real estate investing. You just don't know where to start. You might have dreams of being a real estate investor. You might be working on a job or doing a side hustle, or might be running a business that's not even in the industry of real estate investing. You're just trying to figure out, how can I even get started? Well, the first thing that you're going to need to do to get started, and this has nothing to do with the 5 points that I'm giving y'all today, it's just like we're having a conversation and we're getting some good questions, and I want to just hit on this. If you want to be in real estate investing, it's not as difficult as you think it is. The only thing, and listen to this statement that I'm about to make, the only thing that separates you from accomplishing what you want to accomplish as a real estate investor is what you know and what you're willing to learn. So if you're willing to get the right knowledge and information, and then as you learn that knowledge, as you gather that information, you are able to start practicing that knowledge, which means you start implementing it on a regular basis to familiarize yourself with it, to become more acquainted with the terms and the concepts and the principles about that knowledge and information. It's only a matter of time that you're going to come up with an opportunity that's actually going to be a deal. And it's at that point that you're able to pull the trigger, because you have done the right thing by learning certain information, gaining knowledge, practicing it, becoming more familiar with it, so that when the opportunity shows up, because you've created the opportunity through learning and through practicing, when that opportunity shows up, you're going to be able to move on it. Like, for example, this week I talked about the 8 most important terms and concepts for real estate investing. If you just knew those 8 terms and concepts, let's say, for example, I can sit down with you and teach you those 8 terms and concepts on real estate investing, and you can just replay them over and over again in your mind until you become familiar with them. You can Google a piece of real estate in your neighborhood or in your community and use those 8 terms and concepts to figure out what a property that's for sale in your community is worth and how much money you can make off that property. You could do that anywhere at any time, just with those 8 terms and concepts. I could teach you that, and you can do that within an hour. As a matter of fact, if you had a day to just go through the 3 real estate training courses that we have in our Blueprint Game Plan program, within a day or two, you could probably be swift enough to put an offer in on a property, or to at least call a real estate agent and have them put an offer in. It's that simple if you're willing to do the work, and the work starts with you learning the right information. And when you learn the information, you groove it into your mind enough so that you can start practicing and playing with that information. That's where you're going to find the opportunities. We got another question?
Yeah.
All right, another question.
Somebody said, how soon should I start the REI LLC?
If you have your holding company, the question is, how soon should I start my real estate investing LLC? Well, if you have your holding company set up, your main LLC, all right, you can actually start looking for deals or opportunities for real estate investing without having a real estate investing investment LLC. There are people right now who are marketing themselves to get deals, and they don't even have a real estate investment LLC. These are wholesalers, or these are people who are marketing through their main company, and when they do get the deal, or when the opportunity presents itself and they put an offer in, and let's say the offer is accepted, they will just close the deal in the new real estate investing LLC, not in the business that they used to get the deal. So starting a real estate investment LLC is not the issue. But just to answer your question, if you already have your main holding company set up, that's your main LLC, that's the business that you own, you can start a real estate investment LLC owned by your holding company as soon as you want to, if you just want to separate the two for branding purposes and marketing purposes, and to save yourself maybe some time of pushing and rushing when an opportunity comes. But if you're not in the practice of doing what I'm talking about you need to do, then you're just creating a business that's going to sit dead and dormant because you don't even have the fundamentals of real estate investing. So this is why today I wanted to talk about the 5-point process. This is my 5-point process. I'm not saying you can't Google and find this. I don't know if you can. Let me see. This is my 5-point process. I came up with this. You got another question?
Not right now.
I'm finna see if I can Google and find the 5-point process that I've come up with. Let me go to Google. But for those of you that are taking notes, I'm gonna give you my 5-point process for real estate investing. All right. If you're taking notes, I want you to write it down. Number 1, you gotta find the deal. So the first point is find the deal. Let me see, 5-point process, just in case y'all think I'm capping for real estate. Let me see if there's a process like mine that comes up. The first point in my process is find the deal. You got that? Wow, I just Googled. That is so cool, y'all. I just Googled 5-point process for real estate investing. Look what came up. Our live. Look at that, y'all. My live just came up. So I ain't capping. Oh, I know, because some people just feel like, especially people who know you, they just think what you saying is just something you copying and pasting from somebody. You just can't know all this stuff. Well, you feel the way you want to feel. Okay, we got Nerd Wallet. They say they got 5 ways to get started in real estate investing. Let me see if their 5-step is mine. Nope. Buy REITs. Number 1, use an online real estate platform. Think about investment properties. Consider flipping. rent out a room. Child, please. Ain't nobody got time for all that. That ain't it. So here's my 5-point. This is RP's 5-point process. This is the 5-point process that I use and that I will allow other people to use that I consult. If we have clients that we consult, if we have clients that we coach, even if you learn on our university training platform, this is what you're going to learn. You're going to learn about these 5 points. Point number 1 is what?
Find the deal.
Find the deal. Point number 2. Point number 2 is form. Form the deal. I'm going to go back through it to show you what each one means. But I want you to at least get that in your sha-na-na. Is my internet out over here?
It might be off because you haven't used it.
I haven't used it.
So it might be out.
Let me see where the internet is. Okay, where we at?
Offices. TV.
Point number 1 is TV?
Yeah.
TV 2? Okay. Okay, so point number 1 is what? Where we at? Point number 1 is find the deal. Point number 2 is form the deal. Okay? Point number 2 is form the deal. Point number 3 is fund the deal. I'll go back through each one so you can understand them. Point number 3 is fund the deal. Come on, somebody. Why this internet acting up on us today? Okay, point number 4 is fix the deal. Fix the deal. And point number 5, all right, this internet is acting up.
Go to the other one.
What, offices?
Yeah.
Let me see if it'll connect. That's crazy why I didn't connect it. All right, here is RP's 5-point process for real estate investing. This is a 5-point process. Now, remember the other day I was talking about the 8 most important terms and concepts. You have to know these 8 terms and concepts when you're finding the deal, even before you form, fund, fix, and flip it. You'll never get to the other 4 if you don't use the first concepts and terms with the first one. So we have 5-point process for real estate investing. If you want to be a real estate investor, as I mentioned, you have to learn the 8 most important terms and concepts. You have to learn them. You're not going to find a deal. If you find a deal, you're not going to know if that's a good deal or not because you don't understand those terms and concepts. Okay? So we want to make sure we want to make sure we connect you with that information. I'm trying to pull it up, but for some reason my internet system is acting up today. It's not connected. Maybe they just having a rough day out there in them streets. But whatever the situation is, we'll get back to that in a minute. So how do you find the deal? Here are the 2 words that I want you to add to finding a deal in real estate. Here are the 2 words. The first word is locating. You have to locate a certain property. Now, there's a certain process that I encourage people to go through in locating a property. When I say a process, I'm referring to like you should be looking within a 10-mile radius of where you live. That's like a practical strategy. Why do I say look within a 10-mile radius? Because a lot of times people tell you, oh, all the good deals on the other side of town. The problem is you ain't never over there. And then when you buy a deal on the other side of town, your house or your property is being burnt down on the other side because you can't manage it correctly. You can't afford to pay a property manager. And now you losing because your house done turned into a trap house and you don't even know it. They selling dope out your house and you don't even know it because it's too far away for you to know. Most of the out of town or distant landlords that my wife and I have worked with as investors and consulted with have lost money on their investments because not because they had bad property managers, but because they were bad asset managers. They were not managing the asset of their real estate investing business. So if you're going to find a deal, you have to locate the property, which means I would say start within a 10-mile radius and then pinpoint at least 3 to 5 properties or 3 to 5 communities or neighborhoods or subdivisions that you could see yourself owning a property in?
Question.
We got another question.
What's an example of a holding company name?
Ramonepreston Enterprises. They asked, what's an example of a holding company name? I'm like, wow, I'm telling them my name. An example of a holding company name is Ramonepreston Enterprises. That's my holding company name. Here's another example, Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire Hathaway is Warren Buffett's holding company. His holding company owns ownership interests in hundreds of other companies. They actually own Geico. Geico Insurance is owned by Berkshire Hathaway. Fruit of the Loom, the Draws company, they're owned by Berkshire Hathaway. Berkshire Hathaway owns ownership interests in Coca-Cola and other companies. They own stocks and other ownership interests in companies. So Berkshire Hathaway is an example of a holding company. Have you ever heard of Sam's Club? Have you ever heard of Walmart? Sam's Club and Walmart, they're all collectively owned by Walton Enterprises. Walton Enterprises is Sam Walton's holding company that his family runs. His children are not running a Walmart. His children are not running Sam's Club. His children are running the day-to-day operations of Walton Enterprises. Have you ever heard of Google? Have you ever heard of YouTube? Well, Google and YouTube are owned by Alphabet. Alphabet is the holding company of Google and YouTube. And we could go on and on and on and on and on. JP Morgan. Have you ever heard of JP Morgan? That's a holding company. These are all holding companies. They own other businesses, other subsidiaries. And there are so many, like there are probably millions right now of holding companies around the world. Because a lot of the companies that you do business with are subsidiaries of holding companies, which means they are wholly owned entities by the holding company, or they're divisions, which means they're not legal entities, they're just extensions of a holding company. So those are some examples. All right, so where are we? We're at the first point of the 5 points in your process for real estate investing. Point number 1 is what? You got to find a deal. How do you find a deal? I'm going to tell you how you find a deal. First of all, you learn the game. I want you to educate yourself, but practically speaking, the best way to find a deal is, especially if you know those 8 terms and concepts I teach, you're going to look within a 10-mile radius of where you live or where you do business at. So for example, I live in Buckhead. I do most of my business in Buckhead, but at the same time, I'm very familiar with a whole lot of different areas in Metro Atlanta. I've lived on the south side of Metro Atlanta. We have a ministry on the other side of town. My wife and I, for years, we did business in real estate on 2 other sides of town. So we're actually familiar with the north side of Atlanta, Metro Atlanta, the south side of Metro Atlanta, the east side of Metro Atlanta, and the west side. So we're familiar with Villa Rica, that's the west side of Metro Atlanta, and Douglasville. We're familiar with Covington and Conyers, that's the east side. We're familiar with Lovejoy, Hampton, Stockbridge, and McDonough on the south side. But we're also familiar with Buckhead. We're familiar with Alpharetta. So we're familiar with all sides. So for somebody like me, I can actually find a piece of investment property on any side of town because I'm familiar with those areas. But most people are not familiar with metropolitan areas like a metropolitan area of Atlanta. But my wife and I, we're familiar with it because we've been in real estate. So we'll go all the way to Temple, Georgia. We'll go all the way to Hampton. We'll go all the way to Covington. We'll go all the way to Villa Rica. We'll go all the way up to Alpharetta if the deal is worth it. But if you're not that well-rounded with a metropolitan area, and or if you don't live in a metropolitan area, okay, like where I'm from in South Florida, I grew up in a place called Martin County. Martin County is on the borderline of St. Lucie County, and it's on the border of Palm Beach County. You have Martin County, you have north of Martin County, St. Lucie County, south of Martin County, you have Palm Beach County, south of Palm Beach County, you have Broward County, south of Broward County, you have Dade County. So let's say, for example, if I was living in Martin County, if I was still living in Martin County, I don't have a metroplex. It's more of a coast. It's a coastline. It goes up because the Florida Panhandle is up and down. It's not like round and broad. So if I was a typical real estate investor living in Martin County, Florida, I'm not finna go way down to Dade County and find a rental property unless I just want to drive an hour, hour and a half every day or every week and deal with knuckleheads or issues that come up, or have a property management company down there. But if I'm just getting started, if I live in Martin County, I might look within a 10-mile radius, because let's say I grew up in a city called Hope Sound, Florida. Well, within 10 miles, I could be in Stuart, Florida. So if I found a property within a 10-mile radius, I can drive by that property every day. But then I want to look for 3 to 5 neighborhoods or subdivisions or communities that I would ideally find a property in. That's how you find the deal. That's how you find the deal. Let's go to the second point. How do you form the deal? Well, forming the deal is about you doing due diligence. And I would say the best route to take when you're doing due diligence is to work with professionals. That means work with a real estate agent. Don't let some of these internet gurus in real estate investing who do no real estate investing, who do nothing. All they do is learn this stuff and teach it to you, and they don't do it. They're not actively engaged in real estate every day. So you buy these CDs and you buy these boot camps and these masterminds and these seminars. You buy this information from people who teaching you real estate who don't even do no doggone real estate. How you gonna learn from someone who don't even do it? They don't even understand. They might understand some of the industry standards because they've learned it. They might not know about the market specifics. So when you're forming a deal, what I mean by that is find you a market specialist. You can go find a real estate agent and say, hey, I'm living in this county. I'm looking for a property within a 10-mile radius. I prefer my property to be a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, or I prefer my property to be a triplex or a duplex or a 5-unit. If you tell that to a real estate agent and ask the real estate agent, do you specialize in investment properties? Well, if you can find me a property and send me the information, I would appreciate it. That's how you form the deal, because a lot of your due diligence in forming a deal can actually be done with a real estate agent. The reason why I don't have to deploy the efforts of a real estate agent, because my wife is one. So I already have a built-in agent. I don't have to deploy my efforts to go find a lender because we have an in-house lender. I don't have to deploy my efforts to find CPAs and tax strategists and lawyers because we've been in the business long enough to have those kind of people. But guess what? You can get all that from one good real estate agent. You can form your deal with the real estate agent. But even when the real estate agent is sending you properties, you still need to know the analytics behind that property, because a lot of real estate agents may not know about investments, which means they can find deals that they think are good, properties that they think fit the criteria based on the information you gave them. But you the one got to do the math. You got to know if that property is going to net you a profit. That's how you properly form a deal. There's other things you can do, but my time is moving fast. I got to go. The third point in the process is to fund the deal. Well, if I find a deal and I start forming the deal, Prophet Ramone, how am I going to fund the deal? I ain't got no money. You don't necessarily need money. That's why I said maybe next week I'll talk a little bit about some little to no money down strategies. If you would like for me to talk about some little to no money down strategies, send me a message. Let me know you want to learn more about that. Send me a message. You could drop it in the comments or just drive my personal assistant up the wall. Text it to 404-478-7213. If you want to learn more about real estate investing or little to no money down strategies, text I want to know. Text I want to know to 404-478. Keep her busy all weekend. Text I want to know to 404-478-7213. Hey, and think about this while you're texting it. Even if you don't know what to do, if you joined my coaching program let's say if you joined our 1-year business coaching program, and we had our first one-on-one coaching session, and you said, Prophet Ramone, I want to be in real estate investing. And let's say that was one of your 12-month goals. Well, not only will I give you access to our training platform so you can start learning about real estate investing, but I'm going to help you form your holding company. I'm going to help you form your real estate investment subsidiary, and I'll help walk you through some of the details of the process like we're talking about so you can actually find your first deal. You can get all that support just in our 1-year coaching program. So text I want to know to 404-478-7213. So let's get to the third point in this 5-point process. How do you fund a deal? Well, you can get a conventional loan. We have an in-house lender. Which means they don't outsource your loan. They fund your loan. We have an in-house lender on our team. I think we got one of the best lenders in the game. I know we do. My girl Latisse ain't no joke. She the truth.
Yeah.
So anyway, we have, and my wife, a real estate professional, she the truth. I'm telling them two girls, they bosses. I got 2 women who run the real estate division side of sales and purchases. You ain't gonna find 2 people like them. I'm telling you. If you do, bring it on. But let's get to funding the deal. How are you gonna fund a deal even if you find a deal and form a deal? Well, you can get a conventional loan. If it's a residential property, even if you own a house, if I'm not mistaken, you can actually own up to 10 properties that you're able to get a loan on personally. You're able to own up to 10 yourself. At some point, you're gonna have to convert purchasing properties into your business, but you can personally own, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I gotta make sure I get that fact check with our lender. But if I'm not mistaken, the last conversation I had about that with her, it's up to 10. And that's if you're getting FHA loans. I believe FHA will allow an individual to purchase up to 10 properties through their lending system. So that's one way. You get a conventional loan. You can have the money cash from another business or from savings or from just money you making that you putting up for investing, and you could buy the property out or just get a conventional loan. Guess what? You might have a retirement plan. You might have some type of 401k or IRA or some type of investment that you want to cash out or convert over into a business just for the purpose of real estate investing. That's a creative way of finding funding. You could do a lease option, which means you can see if the person who owns the property, if they're willing to do a lease option, which means that they will lease you the property, somewhat of a master lease that you control the property with the option to purchase it at a certain time, which will give you a couple years or so to get your finances together to purchase the property so that you could take it out of the hands of the person who's leasing it to you. It's kind of like a sublet, sublease. These things happen all the time. We got another question.
Somebody said, I thought it was 5 per individual, so if you are married in 10.
I would have to get back with you on that because I'm kind of like in la la land guessing. But the last conversation I had with our lender, if I'm not mistaken, I believe she said up to 10. Yeah. FHA will allow you up to 10. A person, if I'm not mistaken. You could be right. If you're a lender, you might be right if you're saying 5. I'm not 100% sure. But I think it's up to 5. Matter of fact, text mom and see if she can text Latisse real quick to find that out.
Okay.
Just to ask her to just text her to see if she could tell her what is the limit of investment properties FHA will allow or the individual can get. Because I believe that's FHA that's allowing that. Because if you're just doing it through other banks, I think it would just be based on that bank. But if it's an FHA loan, that's what I was referring to. So I'm gonna find that question out.
To find out how many.
Yeah, how many? What is how many investment properties can one person get under the FHA guidelines?
Okay.
I believe she told me 10. The last time we talked. We haven't talked about it in a while. So I'll get back to that because I don't want to be on here capping. So anyway, that's how you're going to fund the deal. There are other creative ways. You could do a home equity line of credit. You might own a home and can get a line of credit through your home. That's a way of funding. Again, you can have a business. If you have a holding company and your holding company owns other businesses and your businesses are making money, your holding company controls the revenue of those companies, even the pre-tax revenue. And some of those investments or deals that you can do within the world of your holding company with other money that's redistributed and reallocated, some of those events are considered non-taxable events. I know that to be true. So those are just ways that you fund the deal. The fourth point in the process for real estate investing is fixing the deal. What do you mean by fixing the deal? Well, even if you're not flipping, you still want to fix the property, because fixing the property has a lot to do with increasing the value. It's a lot of commercial investors talk about value add investing. So that means they've already calculated certain after repair values on a property. They already know that if they already know if they buy that property, there's an after repair value on that property. Even if they don't sell it, that property value can go up if they put certain money in it. And a lot of times it's not a lot of work that you have to do on a piece of real estate to add value, because you can actually increase the value of that property immediately just by making some cosmetic changes. We got another question?
He said, somebody said, I would like to be mentored by you. I'm in Oregon now.
I have a coaching, someone just commented on Omaha.
Yeah. He's in Oregon now.
He's in Oregon now. Someone said they would like to be mentored by me. Well, guess what? This could be the best time of your life, because I am conducting a 1-year business coaching program. This is week 1 of our business coaching program. So if you would like to be mentored by me, I want you to join my 1-year business coaching program. And you can join it from anywhere in the world. I can mentor you from anywhere in the world, because the principles that we teach you for business, for finances, for investing, for wealth building, these principles work in any civilization. I mean, you can go to a third world country and implement some of these principles. These are biblical principles. These are universal principles. They work anywhere as long as you work them, especially when you learn them. So if you would like to be mentored by me, I want you to reach out to me. Call 404-478-7213 or text mentor coaching to 404-478-7213. We would love to plug you in. If you join our 1-year coaching program, I'm actually giving you 4 of our signature 90-day coaching programs for the price of 1. So I'll be mentoring you for 52 weeks straight through different points of contact. But we begin the 1-year coaching program with you with a initial one-on-one business coaching session. So even if you're in Oregon, if you can't fly in and sit in front of me and get the first one-on-one coaching session, we can host a Zoom. A lot of people that get coaching and consulting from me, we never even sit in person. They get it via Zoom, because information is information. Mentoring is mentoring. Coaching is coaching. We're going to help you put a game plan together, and we're going to walk you through that process play by play for the course of a whole year. So when you think about fixing the deal is adding more value. That's how you fix the deal. You add more value. So even if you're going to hold a piece of real estate to rent it out, even if, of course, if you're flipping the property, you got to fix it. You can't sell it if you don't fix it. But you're fixing it not just to sell it, you're fixing it to increase the value of it. So there are certain value adds. There are certain things that you're going to add to the property, you're going to upgrade to the property to increase the value of the property. A lot of real estate investors make the mistake of fixing the deal the wrong way. Let me give you an example. I had one real estate investor. They were looking at this rental property like it was their own property. They was like, I ain't gonna put nothing in this property that I won't live in. I understand their point. I understand their logic behind it, but I continue to explain to them that the area that this property is in, the price line that this property is in, which means the amount of money that you're gonna get, it's going to bring a certain type of tenant. They're going to fit a certain criteria. There's a certain profile for that property that it falls in. And if you put all this in there, they're going to probably just not even appreciate it. And you're going to have. I already knew the type of tenant that the type of tenants that they were going to have in that type of real estate investment. That people are going to be getting evicted. That they weren't going to last too long. It's just the way it is. All right. It's just the way it is. And it's anywhere. It doesn't mean that don't happen in Buckhead. This don't mean it's the hood, because this property was not in the hood. It's just the type of property it was. And when I say the type of property, I'm not just talking about a A-class property or B-class or C-class or D-class. There are different classes of property. I'm talking about this type of property. It was a 2-bedroom, 1 bath. So we already knew. Okay, I just got the, yeah. My wife and our lender just said FHA will not allow any personal investments unless you are taking over an ill parent. Conventional loans will allow you to finance up to 7 in your own name. See, this is why, y'all see how good that was? This is why I'm telling y'all on live TV, this is why you need professionals in your credibility kit. You see why I teach that? You see why it's important to have really good people in your corner? Because these people that are on my team, they are professionals. So the answer to the funding question that we had, I thought it was 10. Maybe it was at some point. That's where I got that number from. I don't know. The person who was on YouTube thought it was 5. So here's what my wife said. FHA, which is how you get most loans for properties, they will not allow any personal investments. So you're not even going to be able to get an FHA loan for an investment property. That's basically what it's saying. Unless you are taking over an ill parent. That's what their criteria is. But conventional loans, that's a different type of loan. They will allow you to finance up to 7 properties in your own name. So you could get set up to 7 properties in your own name through a conventional loan, which means your down payment is going to be more, because the FHA loan you can get down payment assistance. Your down payment is what, 3.5%. So that's the answer. We got a professional to just give us the right answer on that. Okay. So we talked about fixing the deal. Fixing the deal was you increasing the value of that property. And the final point in your 5-point process is flipping the deal. Flipping the deal doesn't mean that you're flipping properties. It don't mean you buy, okay, my wife said at least 15% down. So it has to be at least 15% down. So if you're doing an FHA loan as an investor, you can't, the FHA is not allowing you to do it. No personal investments, unless you're taking over an ill parent. If you're getting a conventional loan individually, they will allow you to finance up to 7 investment properties in your own name with at least 15% down per investment. Flipping the deal is about how you're going to exit the deal. And the reason why I think that's very important, which is why it's the last point in my 5-point process, is because you have to at least know what your exit is. Even if you don't plan on selling the property, you have to at least have an exit strategy. And sometimes your exit is not just selling the property. Sometimes your exit is refinancing the property so you can pull out equity, money, cash from that property that won't even be taxed, so that you can do another real estate investment, if that makes sense. Come on, somebody. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Thank y'all for all the questions. Thank you for all the interactions. If you want to be a part of that 1-year business coaching program, You want to get access to our blueprint game plan. For those of you that talked about you need a mentor, you want to get into real estate investing, I'm going to walk you through that whole process in these 12 months. If you want to be a real estate investor and do it the right way and have the right people, so that when you got a question, like we just had a real professional question that we needed from a lender, not from some internet guru who don't know nothing, who lying and capping. We wanted a professional to give us a real answer, who's a real licensed agent and lender and broker, and they know what's going on. They was able to tell us FHA will not allow any personal investments unless your parents are sick. Conventional loans will allow you to finance up to 7 in your own name, at least 15% down. Thank you to my wife, honey. Appreciate you for getting that answer so quick. Thank you to Latisse, our lender, our in-house lender. Thank you to all of our team members, everybody that roll with us and rock with us. I appreciate all your love and your support. I'm thinking about talking more on real estate investing next week. I'll just see. If you're interested in learning more and hearing more, I want you to send us some comments, give us some feedback, let us know what you would like to hear me talk about, whether it's about financial literacy, entrepreneurship, owning a business, holding companies, investing, family legacy, wealth building. I don't know, whatever it is that you want me to talk about. Send me some information, give me some feedback, get on my personal assistant's nerves. I want you to send all those text messages to 404-478-7213. I want you to send all those questions and all that feedback to you five. To 404-478-7213. And let her know how much you appreciate her as well, okay? All right, I love y'all. Have an amazing Friday, an amazing weekend, and we'll be back here at 12.